So your perspective on life cannot grow unless your environment expands. What do I mean by that? Well, I was born and raised in New York City. I lived in Harlem. I lived in Brooklyn. I lived in Queens. This is the 60s and 70s. No technology. Our transportation, at least mine was public transportation, the bus, the train. And when you're living and growing up in that environment and traveling the way I traveled, your perspective is limited because of the information that you're getting. So as an adult, I actually traveled for a living for about 3.5 years, been to 44 of the 50 states, 14 countries. So you see different things. Now, this one story here, this is an example of what I'm talking about. So I had this job in a city called Morganfield, Kentucky. Have you heard of that? Morganfield, Kentucky? Well, in order to get to Morganfield, Kentucky, I had to fly into Evansville, Indiana, at that regional airport. I drove over the border into Kentucky, got a hotel room in Henderson, Kentucky. And the next day, I traveled to Morganfield, Kentucky on 60. It would take about 30 minutes to go that 24 plus miles to get there. While driving on 60, this green, what I called a roller coaster track, was going over the road. And as far as I could see that way, and as far as I could see that way, it was there. And I didn't think much of it, but I thought this was a strange place to have a roller coaster in the middle of nowhere. So I get to the job site. I'm conducting some trainings, about 60 people in the training. And during one of the breaks, I was having a conversation with a couple of people. Great conversation. And I said, hey, what's that green roller coaster track back there on 60? And they looked at me with this bewildered look and they said, you mean the coal belt? So I was in coal country and had no clue where I was. But if I had not got out of my environment, I would have never seen that. I would have never experienced it, and it wouldn't have been as sticky as it is today. The other things that I did when I was in Morganfield, Kentucky, two new things I did was I had mutton, which is delicious, by the way. It was like pulled pork, but it's lamb. And I had fried gator and fried frog legs in this hole in the wall restaurant, and I had the time of my life. So, my message to you is to expand your environment so your perspective on life can grow. Take care.